Welcome to the Man Out Fantasy Football Podcast. Here are your hosts, Logan and
Yo, Chris Collinsworth sliding on Wednesday.
With the slide in, baby. It's extra slide in every week.
Come on. I didn't catch the slide in this week. Did you by chance?
I didn't feel like a real slide in, but it looked like he kind of like wasn't in the picture and then they zoomed out. So I don't know, maybe if NBC said, hey, you're not allowed to do that.
We're going to do a camera move, not a slide in.
Yeah.
COVID killed the slide in, man. It ruined everything.
It really did. Everything except fantasy football.
Mm-hmm. That is true. That is true. That's what brings us here, guys. Welcome. The inaugural, the first ever year where we host a show for our fantasy league. This is the 8-man out fantasy show. What we'll do every week, basically, we'll do a little rundown of the week, kind of hand out some awards every now and then. Maybe not quite awards, but just give people their props, give them their flowers. And then we'll also, we're going to do a power rankings every week. I know ESPN does that already, but fuck them. We like our own kind of stuff. Yeah, we'll just do that. We'll recap. We'll do predictions going into the week. If you guys ever want to join in, just let us know. We do take callers. Eventually, we'll have the show up to where you can comment while we're doing it live. So I'm pretty excited about it. What about you, Sean?
Yeah, I'm so pumped. So pumped. I feel like we've talked about it before and we've kind of done some other things, but I'm pumped, man.
Me too. I do have to, speaking of giving flowers, I do want to give flowers out to the Fantasy Footballers podcast. That is the guys that Sean and I listen to ourselves. They kind of gave me the idea. I was listening a couple weeks ago, found out that the way that they started was by just making a show about their own league and getting their league involved. And that was really all it was supposed to be. And they're big and famous now. Not that we're going to do that, but it gave us some sort of thought. I'm like, oh, hey, we can have fun with our own fantasy league. We don't have to just listen to other guys talk about their rosters. Absolutely.
I mean, I love that podcast. I mean, I've gotten a lot of value out of it the last couple of years, and man, just really like it. But I do have a question about them. Like, it took Mike the Hitman Wright so long to get verified.
What a name, too. What a name.
I know, right? But if in our league, all 8 of us, right, who do you think would be the last to get verified out of the 8 of us?
Who would what? Say that again.
Who would be the last one to get verified out of the 8 people in our league?
The last to be verified, like on Twitter, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Oh, it would be it's got to be Drake. Drake he never texts.
That's true.
How's he supposed to tweet? How's he supposed to?
That's true. Yep. It's definitely definitely Drake for sure.
Yeah.
That man had a monster of a week.
Oh my goodness. I'll tell you what, his team coming out of the draft looked really, really good. And the way that they performed last week gave me thoughts back to JR's team of last year after he had a great draft. And he came out week 1 and it was like, man, you're going to get a lot of trade offers.
For sure. It's just nice, man, after all those years of him just absolutely sucking.
Just dogging, man. It's like he was trying to get last place.
He kept trying to, man. But no, for real, though, the last couple of years he has put in like more effort into it. And it's fun to watch and fun to see. And, I mean, right now I think our league's as competitive as it's ever been. So it's a ton of fun.
So too. I think so, too. When I was going through again this morning, it was everybody's, it's like this a lot, but everybody's projected to score around the same amount of points. And it seems fair. It seems like good projections. It's not just points getting thrown up on the board. It seems like everybody did a good job drafting. Teams are pretty well spread. Either somebody's really strong in the running back department, not the wide receiver department, or vice versa. But I think that we're in for a very good year. personally.
Yeah, and just caveat to that, just because we're going to talk about some rosters and whatnot. Everyone's got a good team. When it's an 8-man league, I mean, everyone's got a good team. So it's who has that extra great player, right? That's going to blow up on a given week, or who can be consistent. So, welcome to the show. Love that. Love that little pop up there.
Yeah, we'll have some stuff up there for you guys every now and then to refer to. Sean, give me a little bit of your rundown from the real games from the NFL. Not that our leagues doesn't host real games, but what were your thoughts on some of the NFL for week 1? NFL week 1.
It's tough just being, a Colts fan. It's tough when you start the year off with an improvement since 2013. It's our best start since then, and it's with a tie. So always a rough when that happens.
I think Damon sent that tag earlier this week.
Yeah, that was absolutely insane that happened. So that wasn't fun. I mean, we had the watch party Monday night's game. That was a rough game to watch for sure. But I mean, it kicked off with a great game, Bills Rams. It was a lot of fun to watch that, and the Rams came out a little bit flat. The Bills looked unstoppable once again. So
wow,
I don't know. There's a lot of really good football. You saw weather conditions in Chicago and close games, Steelers and Bengals. Nobody wanted to win. So just a lot of stuff. How about you? What do you think?
Well, as you mentioned, we did that watch party for the Broncos game. That had me livid, man. That had me mad. I don't want to pretend like I don't get emotional during games, because I do, but I'm not one of those people that stands up and screams at the TV because something was done that was wrong. But that was atrocious.
Yeah. Oh, it was bad.
He did come out. I know we were having that conversation where I was telling you, like, man, you can come out and give me all the excuses that you want to. Do not defend it.
Yep.
You can't defend that. And he finally came out, I think it was this morning or yesterday, and this was Nathaniel Hackett, and he said that they shouldn't have punted it. Basically, they should have gone for it. Yeah, absolutely. I wish he would have thought that on Sunday night after the game. Or on Monday night. Sorry, on Monday night. But
yeah, it was rough. It was rough to watch. Just it looked like complete incompetence. Had no idea what to do in that situation at the end of the game, and just horrible, clock management and just no trust in a new quarterback you just spent a fortune on. It was hard to watch. It
really was. One thing that kind of got to me about that too is Russell Wilson came out Monday. I keep saying Sunday night. It was Monday night, but he come out and defended the decision to kick the field goal, and I think he did the right thing. I think that, especially in that game like that, you need to give that feel of you guys are together. It's a unity thing. You guys make that decision together, and he backed him up and he went with it. And then Hackett kind of retracted that today or yesterday, whatever, and that makes Russell Wilson change his answer too. But that's okay. I just wish that answer was the first one that we were given after the game. Yeah. We fucked up. Hindsight's 20/20. If we would have made it, nobody would have been talking. So he would have looked like the smartest coach in the world.
Absolutely. Yep. It's like that old play with Bill Belichick calling that 4th and 2 on their own 30 because they were scared to give Peyton Manning the ball because he was going to score no matter what, right?
Yeah.
It's one of those like hindsight, like, yeah, you probably shouldn't have done that. So who knows? We'll see what happens, but it just didn't look good.
I'm not worried as a Broncos fan. I'll put it that way. I'm not stressing it. I think it's fine. Even the play calling sometimes down in the red zone, that was I wish we would have done a little bit better there, but we did have 2 fumbles at the goal line. I love that he went for it on 4th down at the goal line. It just so happened that Melvin Gordon fumbled it. That's a player mistake. That's not a coaching mistake,
Yeah. And both running backs had fumbles, inside the red zone and that false start where they had the walk-in touchdown. That was rough.
Oh, I forgot about that one. I really wish you wouldn't have brought that up.
Yeah, so they had plenty of opportunities to score. And I mean, again, hindsight and saying what, woulda, coulda, shoulda, but I mean, that's a whole different ballgame if even one of those, right? Because then it shifts momentum completely.
Yeah. Yeah, we're going in halftime with a lead at that point.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. The only other thing that I really wanted to mention out of the week was the Chiefs are fucking good.
Yeah, they are. They are. Everyone's talking like how good, the next step for Justin Herbert, how good these younger quarterbacks are, and Kyler Murray, who I love to watch, and Maddie's on my team this year. Joe Burrow, all the talk about him. People forgot Patrick Mahomes is the greatest quarterback, in the league right now.
Yeah, he doesn't need Tyreek Hill to perform.
Yeah,
and that's not to say that Tyreek Hill's bad. That's not what I'm saying at all. Everybody could use a Tyreek Hill, but I don't think Pat Mahomes needs him.
Yeah, he's shown it.
Yeah. Sure. All right, so let's get into it. Let's start this one up. Winners of the week. So we'll kind of do a rundown, quick rundown of the week on who won. We'll talk about the losers too, if there's anything to mention on them. But
yeah,
you kind of already mentioned today Drake with a great win, huge scores.
Hey, Logan, what's his team name?
His team name, I was going to mention that. His team name, Logan's mom. While I consider myself to be a terrific fantasy team namer, that was just so simple and so good.
Yeah.
So good. There's so many different elements to it, There's the element of just toying with me, which Drake's good at toying with people. He's got that knack. And then there's that other one of like, well, you're not going to beat your mom, are you?
Right. Are you going to let your mom win, or are you going to beat your mom?
Or are you going to beat her? Like, it was terrific. I think it was a great mind play. I still am backing him up though. If he can get a picture with Devin's mom for the week he plays him, that might be a you win, you get the belt kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, for people, if anyone watches this that aren't friends and you're strangers to the show, welcome first of all.
Yeah,
but yeah, not only did Drake change his name to Logan's mom, he made his picture a picture of him and Logan's mom. So it was awesome. It was incredible.
He got him. He got me.
He won before the kickoff. He won.
Yeah, I was flustered when I woke up Sunday morning to adjust my lineups and I saw Logan's mom. I was flustered, and my mom's in Indiana right now, so he could have taken that picture the day before. Really could have.
That's awesome.
Mario picked up a win this week.
Yeah, he did.
Who was he playing? Was he playing Robert? I think he was playing Robert this week.
Week 1 he was playing Robert. Yeah, Robert, the lowest score in the league. Right.
Yeah, lowest score. He did have some injuries, and Robert's team doesn't look bad. That was just a bad week. Those were strong fantasy players that just didn't put up numbers.
Yep. I mean, when Dak and CD combined for 9 points, that's not good.
No.
Not good.
No. And Dak going, not that he was performing well, but Dak going down, that'll hurt him. Devin with a win over Damon. I thought that matchup was going to be one of the best matchups coming into the week. Devin's team really went off. His quarterbacks both scoring over 30 points. That's going to be tough to contend with all year, I think.
Yep, for sure. And I mean, that was kind of my strategy last year, going quarterbacks early. And running back was just weak last year for me. So this year I decided not to do that. But I mean, it's looking really good. And again, for those new to the show, to kind of explain that we do our league, it's 2 quarterbacks, 2 running backs, 2 receivers, a tight end, a flex, and a defense. No kickers, and 2 quarterbacks. So it makes it a lot of fun. Just the difference. And we added that in last year, so it's our second year doing that.
What do you think about that?
I like it. It makes it different. I was before last year always the type of person, because of the fantasy footballers actually, that I would just stream a quarterback. Like I could pick up somebody off the waivers. There's somebody there who's going to put up numbers just based on matchups. So I just didn't put that much effort into it, or grab one of the steady eddies, late in the draft, a Matt Ryan, back in the day, a Matt Stafford,
Mm-hmm.
Tony Romo, top guy.
Yeah, 10th round quarterback. Like
yeah, 10th round quarterback, exactly. So and now it does put strategy there. I mean, like you said, Devin's team is stacked there with Josh Allen, Pat Mahomes. I mean, it's going to be tough to be going against that every single week.
Mm-hmm.
I tried. I did reach a little bit with Burrow just because of how good he was last year and his accuracy. Clearly, that kind of bit me in the butt this last week. But no, man, I love it. I love that we got rid of kickers too, because there's nothing worse than losing a fantasy game because of a kicker.
I can't stand kickers, man. And we had that little. I don't know if you remember that, but we went through a 2-year spell kind of where our kickers did not lose. They didn't lose points for missing an extra point.
Yep.
Which I was on that. I'm on that train. It's an extra point. You shouldn't lose a point for not making an extra point. It's the same thing as a test. Can't dock me for not being right on the extra question. That caused. I know. Yeah. There was a lot of disagreements. I think we pretty much split 4-4 on that, and we ended up doing it. On our last year as a kicker, we took points off, but not that I remember losing the game because of it, but the feeling that you get from that, I mean, you think about it all week, man, and then you're dropping your kicker just because he pissed you off, and he still scored 12 points, but he missed.
Yep, for sure.
It's a pointless position in fantasy. It's not pointless in football. But
yeah, I mean, it's a weapon in football.
Yeah, and I mean,
kicker is an absolute weapon.
Think about this too. Think about this. Go back to the Broncos game. Let's go back to the Broncos game. Let's say that you have Brandon McManus, and you're winning by 1 point at the end of that Denver Broncos Seattle Seahawks game. There's a minute left, and you're winning by 1 point. And then he misses that 64-yard field goal, and you lost this week because of that.
Yeah, see, that I don't agree with. I think if it's over 50, you shouldn't lose a point.
Shouldn't even lose a point. I don't even think you should lose a point for it. It's not like you fumbled the ball. It was literally 4th down. You're going to give the ball away anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. No, I just not a fan of kickers in fantasy.
Me neither. It's just the way that the way that the kickers fell into the fantasy game just doesn't make sense. There's too many variables.
Yeah. That
are out of everyone's control.
Yep.
I'd rather draft a long snapper.
I guess the strategy there would be to sorry, I got something in my pocket that was poking me. The strategy would be
fun is digging into my hip.
would be to grab somebody who plays in a dome. That way, at least every other game, you're kicking inside. But never really thought about it too much.
Or somebody on the West Coast that's maybe getting better weather or just anything like that. Don't ever pick a New York kicker unless it's a Buffalo kicker who's just going to kick 10 extra points a game.
Facts. Yeah. Who else got a dub? So
JR won. JR got a W over you, I believe it was.
Oh, that's right. He did
this week. You didn't want to talk about it. You want to drop that one. Maybe go on to the next one.
No, it was a fun game though.
JR got a win. Yeah, JR did get a win. I believe, he beat you by 10 points this week. That we'll wrap back into that here in a minute. But that was a tough one. That was a good game. JR has high scorers again. I love the Cooper Kupp, Stephon Diggs duo there in the middle. T. Higgins obviously going down in the beginning of that Bengals game is going to hurt because I think he was about to have a big game.
Yeah, I mean, he was looking good on the field.
Mm-hmm. Running backs being an issue for JR for now, just for now. It's week 1 too. Let's reiterate week 1 stuff. Everything can change, but I do want to get back into your lineup though. here in a couple segments, but let's get to the power rankings for now.
I love it. Let's do it.
For the week. Well, I mean, just for now, the power rankings, what we're going to do, as I mentioned, ESPN's got some. We don't always have to go off of those. Those aren't always right. They don't put into perspective of who knows how to add people, who knows how to make trades, who, all of those other things that come along with fantasy football. Let's just start it out. I'll give you my power rankings. I'm going to go with Drake, Devin, Logan, JR, Mario, Sean, Damon, and then Robert.
It's hard to argue against that.
The ones that I'm really, and it's hard not to just look, especially after week 1 again, that it's hard not to just look at the points that were scored and not go by that. Especially when you got 3 teams scoring over 150. Yep. But there's other things that play in, that factor in. People that may have had like a JR's T. Higgins, for instance. He's not only 4 points is probably the worst he's ever going to score in a game he doesn't play, in a game that he's playing in, I guess I should say.
Yeah. So Robert too, though. I mean, with Dak and CD both going down.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah.
But Dak's not going to be back for a while, and he's replacing Dak with Carson Wentz. So
yes, that's a sting. That's a sting for now. Carson Wentz had a good game. He had a good football game, and 20 points would have helped Robert. He still wouldn't have won, but it would have made it a very, very interesting game.
Yep.
But the ones that I kind of struggled with is the Drake Devin are 1 and 2, I believe, and they're locked in there. I got me at 3 and JR at 4. That could go either way. Again, going back to how JR's T. Higgins went down early. And I had some pretty good – I had some good scores up there. My running backs didn't perform.
That was expected, though, right?
Yes. Yeah, well, I did that no running back strategy. That's going to happen sometimes until week 3 or 4 when you really dial in the guys that you need to have.
Yep.
JR seems to be in that same situation as running backs. There's a little bit of a problem there. I think A.J. Dillon might take over Aaron Jones. And ATN not getting as much work as what we really expected to over James Robinson. But he still scored a lot of points. That wide receiver duo is going to be hard to play with. And then Mario, I think, is locked in at 5. And then at first I listed Damon over your team. And I made the switch based off of the overall roster and the bench. Damon's bench was not good. He did have Amon-Ra St. Brown with 20 points. That was great. It was just the other guys just didn't perform. And again, it's week 1. It could be a bad game script. It could be anything. But I just think overall for now, your team is a little over Damon's, and you made some moves too. So some moves to maybe try to go after some of those downsides that you have. So, and I didn't see Damon make any moves.
Yeah, I think my lineups, power rankings are slightly different, and there's a very strong heavy bias in mine. I think Drake
you got you at 1.
Drake's at number 1. Right? I feel like his team is just really strong, and I like that. Here's where mine's different. I would have my team at number 2. Listen, I didn't score a lot of points, but if you look at the personnel, right, on any given week, like I'm going to have one of the highest floors, but I also have ceiling potential, right? Like I can score a lot of points. Plus, I know that I'm going to pick up more people than almost anyone. I'm going to make it way more trades, like 3 times more trades than anyone else.
Yes.
In the league. And I'm willing to trade really good players if I can upgrade a spot that I need. Like I'm not scared to give up players.
Yep.
But there's a trade ban other than with you.
I was going to mention that.
Nobody's wanting to trade with you anymore.
Yeah. You're screwed.
Yeah. So I'm
blackballed by the trade committee.
No, I really do. I like my team, and it is a personal bias. But yeah, I would have Devin at 3. I would actually have you at 4, then Mario, and then we're looking at probably have JR because of those wide receivers, and then Damon, then Robert.
Okay. Yeah, and I don't mean to offend you or anything by putting you back
No, I don't
at
feel
5
Listen,
or
I'm
at
not
6 or 5 or 6.
I'm just not going to admit it.
Yeah, I've got one of those too.
Listen, I don't want my players to hear me say that. The team
Yeah.
is good, right?
Mm-hmm.
Gotta
And
happy.
kind of going into your players don't need to hear you saying that kind of stuff to the media.
Yeah. Listen, I mean, if Lamar Jackson's listening right now, I don't want to say something bad, all right, and then him have a bad game because of it. So
Sure.
Lamar's my dude.
Well, I'll kind of let that take us into the next topic because this is what I had on mine anyway. Bad beats being described as basically just a situation where your team just didn't perform. You fell flat. You had an opportunity to win, and it didn't happen. It just wasn't there. Something like a good analogy for it. A bad beat is a basketball game with a spread of 2. And there's 2 seconds left, and the team that's losing by 2 and expected to lose by 2 chucks up a 3/4 court 3-pointer and makes it, and you lost. That's a bad beat.
Yep.
There's not always going to be bad beats either. But this week I did see one, and it goes back to what you were just saying on how your team could be up there. But I had you as a bad beat this week. Only because the 6 points total between Kyle Pitts and Mike Williams, and you only lost by 10.
Yeah, that was tough. Tough to watch.
Yeah.
Especially,
Either one of the players could have scored 10 more points, and it still would have been an underwhelming game for them.
Yeah. For sure.
I didn't really see any other bad beats that I could notice. Roberts was tough, obviously, just from bad play all around. But that one, I just kind of like to look at 1 or 2 guys that maybe could have performed better, or a lot better, that could have got you a score, up there above what was put on you.
Yeah, and I think that Mario's team did a little bit of that as well. So even though he got the win, right, his team just didn't perform. I mean, Stafford scored 7.8, Derrick Henry at 8.2.
Mm-hmm.
And then Hunter Henry as
Dontrell Hilliard.
It's just it's rough, man. When you draft somebody like Henry so early in the draft and they don't show up week 1, it just can kill the hopes and dreams you had. Fortunately for Mario, he was going against Dak Sucks is now the team name for Robert.
Yeah. Which is a good one.
It is.
Take it.
It is.
Robert,
solid.
I think Robert might have the first add to the IR spot too for the year.
That's what it looked like. Yep.
Not exactly sure. Have we figured out, is Damon allowed to put DeAndre Hopkins on the IR yet? Or is that allowable because he's suspended, or?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you can.
We'll have to ask him about that, because that would be an ad for Damon, because I did see that he's still taking up a roster spot for him, but like I said, may not be able to.
Yep. Interesting. So yeah, I mean, whatever's next. I guess right before we go into that, just a question. With this whole thing being new, I'm not sure if you were to share your screen, would you be able to show like the fancy, like all the points? Like, can we show that on the side?
Let me. Let's do that. Let's see.
So it would be a lot of fun just to be able to see it and not have to keep looking down at my phone and trying to remember notes and whatnot.
While I'm looking this up, Sean, we got any advertisers or anything?
Yeah, let me think of some good ones. Who usually advertises with the fantasy footballers? if you're in Morgan County and you're listening to this, I do know a great electrician kind of doing his thing out there. Partnered up with another great electrician, A&J Electrical Services, just doing their thing. You can find them on Google, search their name, and they'll hook you up. Definitely not hook you up as far as a deal. I mean, hook you up as far as your electricity will be working. So
I like what you did there.
Hooked up.
Hook you up.
Getting hooked up, dude.
Well, this seems to take an awful long time for me to.
It's all right. We can figure it out next time. I just didn't know if you knew how to do it.
I think that you can. You can stream. You can share the screen. I think we'll be able to do that. Eventually, my computer's just taking an awful long time to let me log into ESPN's site.
Gotcha. Cool. Yeah. Sorry to throw you off.
No, we're good. We are good. Let's get back on track here. We'll keep that up in mind, or keep that in mind next time. Again, for next week, like you mentioned, and we can just keep it up. Keep the week scores up on the side, and everybody can see them. Everybody can kind of look through them
and see all the team name changes, since our league has a ton of those.
Yes, absolutely. I know for a fact I'll be changing my team name. I just like to do it. I'm just into it. I just like new names.
Yeah, same.
Next topic. All right, best starts. I'm gonna have to be honest with you. I was very excited about this topic, as I think I had one of the best starts of the week. I still lost, so didn't account for anything. But the Gabe Davis over Deontay Johnson. Deontay Johnson did end up scoring 12 and a half points, and he had 12 targets. That's great. It was the injury that had happened in the final preseason game on that 38-yard catch that he had that was bothersome. I didn't know what he was going to do, and I didn't want him to come in and get on a pitch count. So I started Gabe Davis, and Gabe Davis put up 18 points. He had a very good game.
I mean, and he had 4 catches, ton of yards, 88 yards, and a touchdown. But
early touchdown too.
Yeah, and he just looked good on the field.
Mm-hmm.
He was open a lot more too. So that'll be fun to see. How he's able to spread the ball around and not just go heavy on Diggs. So.
And Diggs still had 10 catches or something like that?
Yeah, he went off.
Yeah, and a touchdown?
Yep.
Another good start that I saw was Mario started Antonio Gibson. While that might not sound like a great start off the top, given Brian Robinson news and everything, everybody knowing that Antonio Gibson is going to likely have a premier role. But Mario has Cam Akers. He drafted Cam Akers. Well over Antonio Gibson, I believe.
Yep.
And he didn't start him. That was something that I thought was good. Obviously, we all know how much Cam Akers underperformed on Thursday night.
Yeah.
He didn't even really get the looks.
No, not at all. He wasn't even the guy everyone thought he would be.
No. I'm wondering to see if he'll come back, but I thought that was a good start by Mario to do that, to kind of read the room and see that the Commanders were low on running backs. Basically, they only had 2 of them, so I thought that was a good start. And Mario also had another one that I just wanted to mention, an honorable mention, but he drafted George Kittle, who was battling a groin injury last week. I don't know if it was something that he was watching all week long. I tried to get a hold of Mario earlier today to find out, but I don't know if it was something he was monitoring all week long just to wait. But he made that change to Hunter Henry on Sunday morning from George Kittle. I think it only scored 4 or 5 points, but still, that was good to make that Sunday morning change, knowing like, hey, I'm paying attention here. I'm not going to let this get to me.
So if we look at the points, right, if he didn't play Hunter Henry, right, so that's one caveat. But also, if Robert would have started Kareem Hunt instead of Renfro, that would have been a game lost by Robert by 0.06 points. Like, it would have been a tight game. Just that one swap. So he protected himself there. Like, that was a big move getting those extra 4 points.
Totally. Okay. But yeah, I thought Mario had good starts. Paid attention to that. That was good to get Kittle out. He did make a pickup. We'll get to that later in the waiver ads. But the next one, worst starts.
I mean, it's that one right there. Throw over Kareem Hunt. But I mean, it's hindsight, right? Like, I mean, there's.
I wanted to say that. All of these worst starts are all hindsight. We can't hate on anybody too much for not starting or for starting these guys. You know, but we got to name them. We got to talk about them. That's what it's for.
That happened. I mean, if you look at his bench, I mean, there's a lot of like, oh, could have. What's he gonna play? Maybe like Godwin. How healthy is he? Like, what's he gonna do out there? Metcalf, is Geno Smith going to be a turd again, which he wasn't, surprisingly.
Yep.
A lot of questions. So, I mean, it's not like he made like a bad call. It was just a hindsight bad start.
Yeah. Yep. And who knew Kareem Hunt was going to score 2 touchdowns?
Yeah.
That's another thing against your team. Nick Chubb runs for 140 yards and doesn't score a touchdown.
Yeah, on 22 carries too.
Like, what? He should have 2 touchdowns. And he would have won the game. Like,
yeah. But I will also call myself out for the same thing, right? Like, I'm going to start Mike Williams over Brandon Cooks.
I looked at that one. Yeah, you don't want to look and say, well, that's an obvious.
Right. That's a 12-point swing. So that's a game, would have been a game changer, just that one swap. So yeah, that one's tough.
And if we want to look at it like that, I had Cordell Patterson scored 22 points on my bench, and each running back went for 8 points.
Yeah.
I still would have lost, but, that was still not the best start. Another one, worst starts, Drake with Trey Lance.
Yeah, that's rough.
I'm not so much hating on the Trey Lance bandwagon or anything like that. As much as I'm going towards the weather in Chicago was just crazy bad.
But if you look at his bench, his only other option was the other quarterback in Chicago.
Yeah, yep. Like, what's he supposed to do? You got to start one of them, unless you want to try to make a stream on one of those plays. And listen to it, didn't matter. He still had the high score.
Yeah.
But maybe make one of those moves out of those guys that are capped at 10 to 15 points this week because of the torrential downpour that was happening.
Yep.
And I don't think anybody would have tried to pick up Justin Fields if he had dropped him for say a Baker Mayfield. Or
not at all.
And then JR again goes back to the hindsight thing, but the Travis Etienne start. It just didn't work out, There were other guys that he could have had, but I would have started him as well. I would have made the Etienne start. I think everybody else would have.
Yeah, I would have if I had his team.
Looking at it, he had Josh Jacobs was his only other running back is Josh Jacobs.
Yeah, might need to send him a trade or two.
I was just going to say that could cause issues for him if Aaron Jones, which he might be the second fiddle now too to A.J. Dillon. So
his great stack of Cooper Kupp and Stephon Diggs is not going to be enough most weeks. I'm just saying if he doesn't pick running back.
He needs T. Higgins to be in there for sure.
Yeah.
But he's got some good wideouts on the bench he can throw in his flex, but he might need another running back to get through the season, but we'll see. Man, I think that he needs James Robinson. But
hey, I know a guy who's got him on his bench.
I do too. That's funny.
Yeah.
That's all I had in that section. Waiver ads, notable injuries. Sean, you were huge this week. Not necessarily on the waiver ads, or on the waivers, but you did make some additions, which
I did.
I want to point out to everybody. You don't have to make a waiver claim. You can, if you think that guy's not going to make it through 8 guys, don't claim him. Add him. Don't lose your spot in the waiver wire. It's crazy. It's something that we just added last year, but it needs to be looked at. It's something that everybody needs to keep an eye on. Which I think you only really had 1 waiver claimed, right?
Yeah. Yep.
That's what I had too. And we were sitting at the back of the waiver wire where we always sit.
Mm-hmm. That happens. Yep.
You know we're adding somebody.
For sure. Every week.
I got Jeff Wilson. So Logan getting Jeff Wilson. I thought he was going to go. I thought Damon would be all over that, but Damon does have good running backs. Elijah Mitchell's on his bench, so maybe he wasn't too concerned.
Yeah. I mean, that's a solid pickup. I mean, the Niners run the ball a lot. They throw the ball a lot to the running backs. I mean, I think it's a solid pickup. Last year when he came in, he had huge games. So it was a great pickup.
That was a good one. I was in between him and the Miles Sanders pickup that you had.
Yeah.
I drafted Miles Sanders.
I'm happy to see them running the ball.
I know.
Imagine that. The Bills and the Eagles ran the ball a little bit, and look what happened.
It's crazy that Kenneth Gainwell, Boston Scott, and Miles Sanders all ended up with a rushing touchdown. Add to that, so did Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
And Jalen Hurts ran the ball the most for them. He had the most rushing attempts.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to run the ball this year.
It's always running in Philadelphia.
That should be a T-shirt.
Yeah. Due to the Elijah Mitchell injury, though, is kind of why I picked up Jeff Wilson. Obviously, I think he was the number 1 guy on a lot of different leagues. Mario got the tight end replacement. That was something that I had mentioned earlier with the George Kittle injury. Picked up Hunter Henry for the day. Obviously, he underperformed a little bit. Mario picked up Zach Ertz and dropped Hunter Henry. I think that was a good pickup. Kyler Murray is going to like him a lot, especially for the first 6 games in the red zone.
Yeah. Yep. Who? Let me see here, because it shows us. Yeah, the waiver picks.
Yeah. It'll even show you who you missed on.
Yeah.
If you look at the waiver report.
Yep. I had 2 waiver pickups actually.
Okay.
And
so
then
you'll be into the back of the waiver wire again, like we were.
Yep. So just to read these off, I mean, Robert picked up Darrell Henderson Jr. He had Dak fall to IR, so he didn't have to drop anybody. Mario picked up Zach Ertz and dropped Hunter Henry. So
good pickup.
Yeah, it's a good pickup. We were talking about that earlier for DFS this week. Like Zach Ertz is cheap. So
yeah,
you picking up Jeff Wilson, dropping the Broncos D. And then I picked up Miles Sanders, Curtis Samuel, had to get rid of MVS and Alan Lazard. So a couple guys who I just wanted to see week 1 what they were going to be on their teams.
Yeah. I love the Curtis Samuel pickup. That was he was one where I wasn't going to add him through waivers. I was going to just add him the next day. I think I'm at a little bit of a disadvantage being on the West Coast, you guys being on the East Coast.
You think so?
Yeah, because the waiver opens or the waiver stops and you can just add player. Like think.
Oh, because of the time.
Yeah, if you wake up at 6 a.m. and start adding players, I'm sleeping still.
Yeah.
I'm literally sleeping still.
Yeah. You are at a disadvantage there. Sucks to see.
I got to pay attention to that. Maybe like set an alarm for 2 a.m. or something, wake up and add players. But that was I wanted Curtis Samuel instead of Jahan Dotson for that little move there that I did. But went ahead and dropped Ayuk. He just didn't perform well. But that one's always back and forth too.
Yep.
Nobody else really did anything. I don't think anybody really had any. It's not like anybody needed to make moves. I just like to be active on it. I think you're kind of the same way.
I am. I grabbed James Robinson, who was available, dropped the Browns D. Said the Browns and the Rams. I drafted the Rams because you have to draft a defense. Didn't want to play them week 1 against the Bills.
Yeah.
when it played the Browns. Anyway,
I'm eyeing that. I'm eyeing that Browns defense too.
Yeah, Myles Garrett right there. I mean, he's going to get some turnovers for sure.
I'm eyeing that. And I dropped. You mentioned I dropped the Broncos defense to pick up a positional player. That's just kind of a move that I like to make sometimes if I'm not sure on my defense. Just hold players out, other guys,
Yep, I feel you.
Pick up my defense later because they're all going to score 6 to 10 points anyway.
Yep. And then I grabbed Julio Jones as well. So that was decent, right? With Godwin, who knows what he's going to be and when. So
and man, Julio looked fast.
He did. He looked like he had some speed again.
He looked really fast, and I think he had a couple of carries too.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to use him like that. I mean, I'm going to keep him on the team for a while.
Definitely usable.
Well, we'll see. Trade bait.
Yeah. There we go. All right. DFS lineups, daily fantasy. Me and Sean like to play daily fantasy. Not everybody that we know is too into it. Let's see if we can get some of our other 8 men into it here, though, and just kind of go through some of our picks for this week. We won't get into who we picked last week just because we didn't, go over that this first time. I won $11 off of $25. So
that's an interesting way of saying that.
Well, I have $36 now, and I had bet 25 total, so I won $11 last week.
Yeah,
but this week
I'm 15, so I mean I'm right there with you.
Okay. And this week I liked you sent me one this morning, and what we like to do too is me and Sean will build lineups just based on who we like. And then we like to combine lineups too and see if those lineups can do any better than what we'll do separately. But Sean sent me one this morning with Joe Mixon and DeAndre Swift as a running back duo. I think that's a sexy duo in the running back department. Each of them getting over 20 carries. Or no, I'm sorry. DeAndre Swift only had 15 carries.
Yeah, he just had a ton of catches too.
Over 20 looks. Yeah. Joe Mixon had, I think, 22 carries or something like that, and 8 catches or almost 30 looks. The amount of target share that those two got in the games that they're going into this week, I think, are very good picks, and they're good running backs too. You're not trying to go cheap on running back there.
Yeah, for sure. I think that Joe Mixon, not only just having volume week 1, just being good and looks like finally healthy. Going against Dallas, who lost Dak, is probably not going to be moving the ball that well. And so you think that Cincinnati's going to have enough firepower early, take a lead, and need to run the ball. So
yeah, looking for like 25 carries for Joe Mixon probably.
Yeah, yep.
Like
so
that.
I think it's going to be a solid pick, and even at $7,200 on DraftKings, he's gonna make us money.
And I like DeAndre Swift a lot. I think that offense is a lot better than what people have been expecting it to be, or it can move the ball. They're going to lose games. They're not going to win 7 games probably. But they're going to give people fits on the offensive side of the ball. They got a lot of playmakers: Monroe St. Brown, DJ Chark. You got DeAndre Swift, and Jamal Williams can run the ball too, man. He's a bruiser type of a running back.
Yeah, he's going to be involved. He's going to get goal line carries, and he's going to score some touchdowns.
It's a good fantasy team, I think, this year, where in the past you could only rely on Calvin Johnson or Matt Stafford.
Yep.
That was it.
Yep.
Jeff Wilson, I like him this week in daily fantasy. Just to, for some reason they haven't bumped up his salary. Maybe they know something that we don't. Maybe he doesn't get a lot of work. I don't know. But for $5,100 at a running back spot, it seems like a good position to get at least 10, 15 points on it.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I think that they hadn't updated rosters or updated the pricing based on who's in, who's out, at least for this week. And for me, I mean, that's a steal. I always like to, if I have running backs, Joe Mixon's up there, the 4:00 afternoon game. But DeAndre Swift's always going to be in that spot. And I like my flex to always be those afternoon games and not the early games in case you have to switch someone out.
Oh, yeah.
So I have him, in my flex, and I think it was an absolute steal.
Yeah, I thought that was a good one too that you'd put in this morning with him in the flex there. Another guy that I like, I think a lot of people might be talking about him in DFS, but it's Joshua Palmer for the Chargers.
Yep.
With Keenan Allen out, he's gonna get. Yeah, I bet he gets at least 7 to 8 targets. At least
I could see
they
that.
got to throw the ball to somebody.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, Mike Williams is going to be that dude. Hopefully, I'm hoping so for year-round fantasy, right? But man, we're going to see. I think Palmer's going to get some looks. He got looks when Keenan Allen went out, so that's a good pick. Do you know how much he is?
I don't. I did look earlier today. I want to say he was in the 5 range. I can't remember now. I meant to write it down for us, but I don't have it. But it was another cheap player, somebody to try to get for cheap and spend high on one of those other guys. Maybe try to get a Devontae Adams or one of the big 3 wide receivers.
Yep, for sure.
I like to go. I kind of mentioned this to you last week. There's all kinds of strategy you can do with DFS. You can do the one that we used last year, and it turned out some money for us. But pick high scoring games, stack quarterback, wide receiver, and play some receivers from the other team too. That are going to have to come back. That's a good strategy. This one that I'm kind of going with this year, I'm looking at over-unders for games. The highest over-unders. Who's going to score the most points? And I'm trying to build fantasy lineups off of that, or at least tag in some of those players to my lineup to try and get those extra points that are just going to win you a little bit of money. I don't think it's the best strategy to go off of is just go off of those 2 games, but I do think it is a strategy. And I think that it's good to try to take some players from those games because somebody's going to score.
Yeah.
Vegas can't be that wrong, right?
It's true. They rarely are that wrong.
Yeah.
Vegas usually wins. They know more than we do. But speaking real quick to Josh Palmer, the Chargers, they're playing Thursday, so tomorrow.
Oh, and it is against the Chiefs too. I forgot about that. It is
against the Chiefs, so there could be a lot of balls thrown, high scoring game. I know a lot of times we only do Sunday DFS, but this week I might have to get in there just to get a little bit of Mahomes action because Thursday night he's going to go off.
I think that over-under is at 54 right now.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. The only reason I didn't really mention that one is because it is on a Thursday night game. The other one, we've got 2 Monday night games that are pretty high scoring too, which I don't know why we got 2 Monday night games in the second week, but we do.
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't know there was.
Both Monday night games, the over-under is at 48.5 points. So something to look at if you're going to be, making all long lineups. Defenses, I like Cincinnati strictly because they are playing Dallas, and I don't know what Dallas is going to do. I don't think anybody knows what Dallas is going to do. And then I also like either the Patriots or the Steelers. That one going off again, the over-under thing. They have one of the lowest unders. Maybe the defense can work off of that.
Yeah, I mean, the Patriots just gave up some points, and the Steelers, they lost, 3 key guys or 2, at least 2. TJ Watt's out, Hayward's out, and then who else? Oh, it was Najee that got beat up a little bit.
Which he might be back. They don't know yet. He's saying he's going to play.
Minka Fitzpatrick, I mean, he looked so good just on the field. And, I mean, everyone knows he's good, but, man, he is a turnover machine.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting to see. I like the Colts, too. I mean, I'm a homer for saying that probably, but, they show that they're going to give up some, some yards, but they're also going to force some turnovers. They're going to do that. Young quarterback, I know, he's not a rookie anymore, but Trevor Lawrence can make some mistakes. They don't know exactly what they're doing at running back yet with Etienne and James Robinson. So it's hard for any one of those to really get into a flow and really hammer down a defense. So I like them this week as well.
I do like them. They were a little higher than what I like to spend on my defense, but I did like them too. They were a top team that I would have picked over 3,000 anyway. All right. This is the fun portion. This is
Oh.
what we're going to do. This is our little side action that we're going to do every week. We don't have to bet any money on it. We can bet little. Maybe you have to take a shot of Fireball on next week's episode if I win or something like that. We can figure that out later. But basically, what we're doing is each person is going to pick 2 players, 1 wide receiver, 1 running back for the upcoming week. That's not a draft situation. You can pick whoever you want. If we end up picking the same player, we'll pick again. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to write mine down.
All right.
And show it. That way you don't get to say, "Ooh, I like that pick, Logan. I'm going to take your pick."
Yep. No, that's a great way to do it. I feel like this is a little bit disadvantage here. Put me on the spot. You've had time to think about this.
You got the schedule. You got the outline.
I did. Man, this is going to be tough.
I think this could turn into a fun little game with the 8-man league too. Just to pick 2, or maybe even do a running back, or do a quarterback, running back, wide receiver. That's it. Pick 3. That's your 3-headed monster for the week.
Yep. Let me. All right. Got my running back. I mean, is it fair to put Cooper Kupp because that's going to be everyone's pick every week right now?
Any player, I would think it would be fair, right?
Well, I mean, that's my pick then. For receiver. Here we go. Oh, I went Eckler and Kupp. All right, so we got to repick.
All right. No, we don't. We got difference there. I got Barkley. You got Kupp.
Okay. I thought you meant if we had like one of the same players, we had to repick.
Do you want to do that? Do you want to do it that way? I'm open to that too. So then you have 2 different ones.
Because, I mean, at this point, it's really just Eckler versus Barkley. So
let's pick receivers again.
All right. I know who your next one's going to be.
I know. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try to pick one that you don't think that I'll pick.
All right.
Which now you're probably going to pick him.
I got my guy.
All right, I got mine.
Let's see. All right, yeah, it's different. I went Tyreek.
Okay. I got Barkley and Devontae Adams.
Yeah.
Versus Austin Eckler and Tyreek Hill.
I'll take it.
Okay.
I'll take
All
it.
All right. That ought to be fun. Who do the Dolphins play?
Baltimore. And nobody plays more man-to-man defense than the Ravens.
Than Baltimore.
And nobody.
They love that shit.
Nobody can touch Tyreek if it's man-to-man.
I like Barkley against the Panthers, and I had Kupp against ATL. ATL being a pretty bad defending team, but like you said, who isn't going to pick Kupp? But I will be honest with you, I had Jefferson and Chase up there first. I didn't like their matchups as much.
Yeah, I think that I may have to go back and change my roster and build it around Cooper Kupp this week. Like, he may score 4 touchdowns.
And he will probably have 30 points.
Yeah.
Right? More than likely he's to have 30 points.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that scared me about starting Cordero Patterson this week was they're probably going to be losing a lot. So I don't want to.
But they throw the ball to him a lot.
Oh, that's true. They do that. They'll just dump it to him. He'll have 8 catches.
Yep. Hey, if you don't want to play him,
do what?
If you don't want to play him, I'll take him off your team if you want.
Oh, I'm sure you will. Sure you will. All right, predictions to the week, then we'll wrap it up.
Cool.
Upcoming games this week, we got Logan versus JR, Devin versus Mario, Bob versus Drake, and Sean versus Damon. It's funny that we have, in my power rankings anyway, two of the matchups that I would have switched, Logan versus JR and you versus Damon.
Yep.
So that might be settled real quick coming into next week's show.
Sounds like it will be.
Who you got in the Logan JR game?
Logan JR game, I think, is going to be interesting right now. I mean, you don't have a defense in, which I know that will change, but I mean, I think that overall you're just more balanced. Your running backs versus his running backs are probably pretty equal. Yours are
bad.
Yours have a higher floor, right? Like, but it comes down. I mean, Jalen Hurts and Russell Wilson at QB, having both of them and not, T-Law against the Colts, who I just said I think is going to have a really good week. Both of you guys have great receivers, so it's hard to, he'll probably win right there just because he has Kupp and Diggs, and you're at Jefferson and Evans, so he might edge you out by a couple points there. But I really like Mark Andrews. T. Higgins clearly isn't going to play for him, so who's he going to put in that spot? So I would go with Wilson.
Wilson. All right, how about Devin and Mario?
Well, real quick on that, who do you think's going to win that between you and JR?
Me and JR, I'm going with me. I went with me. I'm going to circle you.
All right.
I think that I will win, but again, I'm going to go. That goes to how you put yourself second as the power rankings. It's going to be tough to get me to vote against myself in one of these games. I like to look at it as it's only Wednesday. I will find a way to win.
Yeah.
It's not always true. It's not always true. I'm just biased.
Yeah, for sure. Same way. Just for the future, for these predictions, then we will just not ask about our own matchups while ask the person, because I'm always going to pick myself.
We know that we're going to win.
Yeah. There's no chance I'm picking someone else.
Okay, so Devin, Mario, who you got?
It's hard to say. I mean, Devin right now, he has all these players put on his bench because they're hurt. I don't know. He always does this. And
he likes to do that because he doesn't like people looking at projections.
Yeah. No, I get that.
And he doesn't like to either because it's going to mess with him.
I just think, quarterback play, Devin's going to beat people every week. But if you look at the rest of the roster outside of that position, I mean, Derrick Henry is not going to have 8 points again or whatever that was. Like, he's going to score some touchdowns.
That's a floor.
Yeah, and, Joe Mixon, like I said, against Dallas, I think is going to blow up, which is huge. He's got Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill, which is my other guy, and then Zach Ertz, who, we haven't talked a lot about, but we both really like this week as well. So I would go with Mario on this one.
Okay. I did pick Devin. I like Devin's quarterbacks a lot. And I also think that Alvin Kamara underperformed with Taysom Hill scoring a couple of touchdowns and eating up into his carries a little bit. I don't think that's going to be a trend to go on into the season. And I think that Javonte Williams flex spot for Devin, he could do a lot with that.
Yeah, he could even just like trade him to me.
Yeah, he could. Yeah. I was thinking that same thing. He could trade him to me for like a Breece Hall, Michael Carter combination or something. Here, pick a Jets running back. Let me have this one.
Yeah.
Robert and Drake. We're both going to pick Drake, right?
Yeah, that's no offense, Robert. Drake's team's just really good this year, and you just lost Dak.
Yeah, the quarterback thing.
Which means you also lost CD.
Yeah, yep, that hurt another player. So I'll go with Drake there. God bless Robert's heart, man. He's got a good team. Hopefully he can find his way back in the next couple of weeks.
If he would have accepted the trade instead of declining the one I sent him today, he would be in a good spot for this week. Just saying.
Ooh. Let's not put him on blast.
I'm not. I'm just saying that. I'm always mad when people don't accept trades.
Yep. Okay, so we've both got for this week Wilson to win. I've got Devin, you got Mario, we both got Drake, and we both got you. So the Devin and Mario game is going to be the deciding factor in this week's predictions. And then our pick 2 is going to be fun too. That's going to be something to watch.
Yep, that is. That's going to be real fun. I like the pick 2.
Anything you want to add?
No, I mean, other than this is really fun. Can't wait to do it again next week, and good luck.
Yeah. Welcome everybody again. We'll do it. We'll do it every week. If you guys want to join, we're going to eventually get it live. You guys can comment on the side. We'll have some callers in. Tell your significant others that we want to talk to them about how you were acting on Sunday. How many times did he threaten to break the TV? You know, how many times did he say fantasy is so fucking stupid? I want those stories.
Yeah, I
want the red face stories.
We need the significant others in here for sure.
Yeah. All right, dudes. See you guys later.